A committee of the National Assembly, and wherever you meet a suspect, you always can apprehend them. So it looks like I've been apprehended in another capacity of the leader of the Democratic Party. I want to assure you that the Democratic Party will appear, and we will put on record our position regarding the bill being brought by the Honorable Richard Lumu. We have actually made our position even public in press conferences, but we shall come and speak on the record. Regarding the constitutional reforms and reforms relating to the next elections, there has been a bit of a misunderstanding, mainly fueled by the media. I made a statement that I have many proposals on my desk. You know, there is a group known as the NRM-Mao transformers. They are the ones who have been pushing the idea of electing a president in parliament. And when I mentioned that I have that proposal on my desk, then that proposal was meant to be a Mao proposal. So I have been at the receiving end of a lot of attacks by those who don't believe that actually everything should be debated. Every question should be debated. So I want to repeat that the Ministry of Justice directed the Uganda Law Reform Commission to compile all sorts of proposals, because the Parliament never gave us money to establish a Constitutional Review Commission. Every time we bring a budgetary proposal for money to establish a Constitutional Review Commission, we are not given the money. But we want to get the job done. So we asked the Uganda Law Reform Commission, and indeed we briefed the Prime Minister. I'm going to share with you, Mr. Chairman, the briefing we gave to the Prime Minister, that the Uganda Law Reform Commission should compile all the proposals, which I believe is almost 90% of the proposals that Ugandans are talking about. If there's any balance, this body now will go and find out other views. We are capable of carrying out consultations as a government so that we fill the gap. Now, there is no reason for you to lose faith in the Minister of Justice. And I do believe that the government has a lot of interest in whatever members of Parliament are proposing. Even before I joined the cabinet, the standard response by government to any proposal for a constitutional amendment has been, government is preparing comprehensive constitutional reforms. And I want to repeat that position, that government is preparing.
Honourable Minister, you gave more hope to the public that it was not going to be business as usual. That's why they are looking at you as a person holding the office.
Mr. Chairman, and indeed, I'm talking from my point of view. From your point of view, it is a responsibility. But from my point of view, it is a burden. I accept it, and I want to assure you that, number one, we are going to have a meeting with the President. We don't want to have academic discussions. We want the buy-in of... I'm a practical man, and I know how decisions are made. When you're making a decision, there are those who recommend or propose. Then there are those who need to agree so that the proposal is not impotent. Now, the one person who needs to agree first is the President. I'm a very practical person in terms of that. Once the President gets the buy-in, even if there are objections from other members of cabinet, it is possible that it will be fast-tracked. So my technical team is going to be having that discussion with the president, and then when cabinet decides that this is urgent, you are going to see the supersonic speed with which we shall move. Finally, Mr. Chairman, I want to assure the members of this committee that government is one, but the Ministry of Justice cannot be the one to answer questions relating to a quarrel between the Ministry of Lands and the other agency known as National Planning Authority. Let me tell you the difference between the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General, so that it is clear. The Attorney General, if you want to look at it very simply, is the managing partner of the government law firm. His job is to ensure that government decisions are aligned to the Constitution and the law. And the Attorney General is a constitutional office there. And under the Attorney General is this army of lawyers that is supposed to make sure that his decisions are top-notch. And I assure you, we serve everybody, including the Parliament of Uganda, of the ministry. And my job is policy. The Attorney General defends government when it is sued, gives advice to the President, ensures that aligned with the Constitution. It is a very, very technical office. My job is to protect these lawyers from the politics that can easily divert them. That's why we could not write or National Planning Authority is wrong.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. I wish to thank the Minister and your team and the Honourable Member. Your submission will definitely help us in processing the bill. And your appeal, how we proceed with the rationalization, because it is already agreed as a government policy. And so as a committee, what we need to do is just to ensure that everything is neat in a manner that is fair to all, especially on the issue of the people who are going to lose jobs accommodated in the ministry. We didn't have time to go into those details. For example, we would have wanted to know the status of the Road Reform Commission in the ministry in a manner that gives it some level of independence. All those things we have not had time to discuss them, but you have given us a council hearing to ensure that we keep fine-tuning the law. Yes. No, on the technical matters of the law.
Mr. Chairman, we don't interfere with the technical people. The two tribunals. Now, this is a rationalization bill, which is abolishing certain established agencies. So, the two that are being abolished is the Tax Appeals Tribunal and the Electricity Tribunal. Now, I do not know where the Honourable Member finds the evidence to prove that this tribunal is an omnibus tribunal. For instance, we have got the one that deals with procurement. We have disputes that arise out of procurement. The National Tribunal will not be dealing with those. So maybe the Honourable Member can tell us where the implication is.
Clause 42.
Yes, clause 42, we have it here.
Where any act provides for the establishment of a tribunal, the National Tribunal shall be taken to be the tribunal established by the act.
The heading note is consequential meaning
Of establishing tribunals.
There is no contradiction in it. So the bill you are considering dissolved these two bodies. Yes, but also in case there is any act which provides for a tribunal, then that matter will come before the National Tribunal.
So can we say 42 is redundant?
It is not redundant. There is never any law made.
I'm reading it verbatively. Maybe we could attach meaning to it.
I will First of all, I insist that there's no contradiction, but let me ask Mr. Okurik to give you the explanation.
Okay. These particular articles of the Constitution to include explicitly the functions that have been performed by the Equal Opportunities Commission to be brought in the Constitution so that they are guided by one body, as you're suggesting. The challenge is because the others are no longer defined by any law, then it will just be, they may be lost in space. And yet the Equal Opportunities Commission, as you were aware, plays a very vital role. How do we reconcile these three articles to include the responsibilities of the Equal Opportunities Commission also to come under the mandate of the Constitution?
This is something I think we had looked at previously, and we thought that by making this second presentment, we should have been able to address that. With clarity, really, my colleague has put it, the functions of the other one are under the Act, and the functions of the Human Rights Commission are under the Constitution. But when you look at the proposed amendments that you have, you are simply changing the naming. The merger you are envisaging here is to merge Equal Opportunities Commission with Human Rights Commission to form one commission that performs the functions of both. And yet, the constitutional amendments that you're bringing, for example, the amendment you're suggesting is on the name. Where there is Uganda Human Rights Commission, you're saying Uganda Human Rights Commission, wherever it appears, use Human Rights Commission and Equal Opportunities Commission. So you find that the other functions, which may be unique, which were unique at the time, you have not taken into account that merge of the functions. Yet the intention, the defect in the existing law that you're trying to address is in respect of those functions and merging them. So in effect, what you've done is you are not addressing the defect as you had set out to do.
Mr. Chairman, the purpose of RAPEX is the intentions and policies, they remain intact. And I believe the reason why we are here is to have a collaborative approach to achieve the goal of RAPEX. If this parliament in its wisdom sees that there are provisions in the Constitution that need to be aligned with the goal, from the point of view of the Ministry of Justice and indeed the government, this is about RAPEX. All the other things are really not being touched. We are now saying, if there is a provision in the Constitution which refers to Equal Opportunities Commission, it now changes into the Human Rights and Equal Opportunities Commission. And any provision relating to the Human Rights Commission also is now Human Rights and Equal Opportunities Commission. We have actually tried to simplify it as much as possible. So if there's any complication, I want to hear about it.
Chair, let me put it to the Honorable Minister this way. If you look at the proposed amendment under Article 32, you are going to have a repeal of 3, which says there shall be a commission called the Equal Opportunities Commission, whose composition and function shall be determined by an act of parliament. Then 4, subclause 4, the Equal Opportunities Commission shall be established within 1 year after the coming into force. So we are saying the functionalities of Equal Opportunities Commission were established by an act of parliament, which is extrinsic or outside the Constitution, those functions. But when we are amending the article, we are in the same direction. When we are amending our respective articles, which provides for the functions of the Human Rights Commission, what we are in effect we are amending is only the name. But we are saying there are the other functions that you had established in the Act. That was our observation when the AG came here previously. If you picked some of those functions, so that, for example, holistically, you have an amendment in Article 52, which accommodates some of the functions there, which are districts on the Equal Opportunities Commission, you bring and fuse them up with these functions. That is what we are.
And Honourable Minister, remember at that stage, the other law will already be repealed. So we can't make any reference to it at the time because the commission will be now fully treated as a constitutional commission going by this amendment. So the functions will not be there. We need them to be brought.
Honorable Deputy, in the interest of time, as a committee, I think we have that mandate. We intend to amend Article 52 to include the core functions of the Equal Opportunities Commission. If you have any problem with that, you indicate.
Mr. Chairman, we are also members of Parliament.
Yes.
I was not elected, but I'm also a member of Parliament who sits on Kameme. I wanted to say, I would like you to work with our technical people on their concern.
Chair, the observation is correct. Parliament, in its wisdom, amended that article to specifically provide that the functions of that commission will be in an act of Parliament. So that's why we didn't amend the articles on the Human Rights Commission to include those functions, because there's going to be a subsequent amendment to the Uganda Human Rights Commission Act to reflect what we are doing here today, if that passes. And that amendment will incorporate the functions that you are talking about. Those are the functions of the Equal Opportunities Commission. Because remember that once they merge them, then you won't need the Equal Opportunities Commission Act. You will have to merge the other two acts to actually come up with one act. That's where we shall house those functions.
Council, the problem here is one. I want us to be very clear on this. The problem here is one. The Constitution has established for you the functions. You get it? You cannot, again, put those functions. When you put in the acts, it can be just duplication. But here the Constitution has clearly told you that these are the functions for this. The difference with equal opportunities is that the Constitution never gave the functions. The functions, what the Constitution said, for purpose of the Equal Opportunities Commission, the functions will be in the Act. That was the only difference. That's why I will have no problem if the subsequent amendment you're bringing is in respect of the Constitution. I'm also thinking the Minister of Justice is supposed to have a comprehensive constitutional amendment, so that's something you could take into account. That's when you can adjust some of these functions. There's no problem with that. Thank you.
The beauty here, Honourable Minister, that we are speaking the same language, just with different diction. We all want a clean law. And so we are raising this to avoid any controversies that may arise. Honourable Minister, there is already, you may not be privy to it yet, but there is already a challenge between the Ministry of Lands and the National Planning Authority when the National Planning Board was moved to National Planning Authority. So there is already, we're supposed to do what, when should it be done? Now, from experience, we need it cleaned so that we avoid. Now, the last issue, Honourable Chair, I had the floor, and I'm concluding. I am concerned, like the way Honourable Sechitoleko raises it, how prepared is the ministry to accommodate these agencies? You seem to be speaking about work in progress, and yet we are at the tail end of it. We have had challenges with institutions which have already been merged. There are certain pertinent issues that affect day-to-day life of the workers that have not been addressed. And it's our humble wish that these issues be attended to cleanly so that we get better every day when we take these decisions. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, may I propose that when this committee is sitting to do its work, please invite somebody like Mr. Okirik to be with you so that we work seamlessly. Now, I cannot speak for the other ministries, but I can assure you that as the Ministry of Justice, number one, we are really a service ministry. Fortunately, 90% of us go through the same training, and that's why it is a different kind of ministry. The majority of the people there are really lawyers. Whether you are the Attorney General, whether you are a state attorney, we all know. It's only our permanent secretary who is a geologist. But we may make him a honorary counsel. Now, finally, I can tell you, we came here before you talk about marriages, registration of marriages. I can tell you, we have been working very closely with Ministry of Internal Affairs. So, I really want to say, don't project the conflict between National Planning Authority and Ministry of Lands and make it appear as if we also have to answer for it. For us, as Ministry of Justice, whenever we are supposed to work with anybody, we make sure that it is not about flying little flags, but it's about ensuring that we take a whole of government approach. As I talk now, the staff of URSB who are in charge of marriages and so on have been moved to NIRA as authorized by you. And but the facilities for the marriages are actually in the URSB building, because that's where the red carpets are, the nice chairs and so on. I don't think marrying couples want to go to Kololo Airstrip, which is basically a site under construction for their weddings. So allow us to speak strictly about the laws that relate to us as Ministry of Justice, because you will infect us with the other diseases from other ministries. We can only promise that we are going to, I will call the Honorable Nabakova, I'll talk to Professor Pamela, and tell them that Parliament is worried about their quarrels. But for us, we have no quarrels. And I can assure you, when you pass these bills, you will not hear of any quarrels.
Okay, Honourable Minister, we want to keep it short. Just one let me first ask Honourable introducing
Legal technical skills.
With that, I discharge you, Honourable Minister. Honourable Lodu. Honourable Lodu is a member of this committee, Woman MP Ngora. She joined us while we were discussing. And Honourable Namuka, Woman MP Sembabuli.
That is between me and the chair of the committee.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.